everyone. Come to order.
Sorry, for the good of the order, fine.
Times. Okay, welcome everyone to tonight's meeting of the Albany County Legislature's Law Committee. Our first order of business is to take the roll.
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Kuhn?
Here.
Reedy?
Here.
Feeney?
Here.
LaBrilliere? Here. McLaughlin is excused. Platsky? Here. Ricard?
Present.
Erdger?
Here.
And Whalen. You have a quorum.
Great, thank you so much. First order of business is approving the previous meeting minutes from our September 25th meeting. Can I have a motion?
Make the motion.
Reedy, Platsky, all in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Okay, we're going to go a little bit out of order as we usually do. And we're going to go first to item 22, which is, we'll do items 22 and 23. And I believe we have Judge Herrick here to discuss these items. So first, I think, are we considering these, all right, well first we'll just do number 22, which is authorizing an agreement with the New York State Office of Indigent Legal Services regarding the second statewide expansion of the Harrell Herring settlement and amending the 2024 alternate public defender's office budget. So, Judge
Thank
Herrick.
you very much. Good evening. As you are all probably aware, the substantial majority of our financing for the criminal division of the Public Defender's Office and the Alternative Public Defender's Office and the Assigned Counsel Plan comes through ILS through statewide expansion of the Harrell Herring decision. There was an initial grant for 5 years. It started in 18 and finished in 23. And starting in for 24 through 27, we are requesting authorization to accept the second statewide expansion of Harrell Herring, which will provide $29,538,230 to the 3 indigent service agencies for criminal representation for the next 3 years. And then there's a second part of this, which is the tail wagging the dog, which is for the Alternative Public Defender's Office. They are requesting authorization to modify their 2024 budget to allow for the addition of a line for client services, a small line, $5,000, to pay for necessary travel and expenses to get their clients to and from required criminal appearances.
Okay, so is 22 or 22 and 23 like the same thing, or does 23 not have to do with it?
23 is different.
Okay, okay, so does anybody have any questions for Judge Herrick about item 22? We just talked about. Okay, hearing none.
Make motion.
Okay, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And the next item on the agenda is amending resolution number 185 for 2024 regarding the distribution number 12 grant and amending the 2024 Albany County budget. Judge Herrick.
This is a request for a no-cost one-year extension of ILS distribution 12 from the New York State Office of Indigent Legal Services, again to the Public Defender's Office and the Alternative Public Defender's Office it's a 3-year grant, provides $786,729 to the 2 departments, and it provides funding for personnel positions and staffing matters in family court, and there were vacancies during the period of time of the original grant, and in order to utilize the full amount of the grant, we're requesting a 1-year no-cost extension.
Great. Does anybody have any questions about this item? Hearing none, can I have a motion? Mr. Bergdorf? Any? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Great.
Thank you
All
very
set.
much.
Have a good evening. Okay. Next item on the agenda is authorizing, which is number 24, is authorizing an agreement with Axon Enterprise, Inc. regarding digital evidence storage and management, and the alternate public defender. So are you here to talk about that?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
So this will be fairly quick. It's requesting authorization to enter into a 10-year agreement with Axon Enterprise for our digital evidence management. It's the same program that the District Attorney's Office currently uses along with all the law enforcement agencies. And the Public Defender's Office, I believe, started theirs 2 months ago. Unfortunately, I was out of town then, and nor did I have funding in my budget at that time to cover the expenses. Subsequent to that, we did receive funding from the state to cover the expenses for me to now finally get this. So that's what I'm requesting.
Okay, does anybody have any questions about this particular one?
Actually, I just got one question, Mr. Chairman. So, do we usually do like, that's a 10-year contract, is that what that says?
Yes.
And we typically do a 10-year contract on it?
For a lot of our, this is the first time we're using the software, obviously, but it's generally, we get a better deal to do a long-term contract. It's my understanding for any case management systems that we've used in the past have always been a lengthy contract, as I'm still using the same case management system that the county's used for the past almost 2 decades. And so I think generally this is the term that I know other counties have used as well, and same with the Public Defender's Office. I'm not familiar with how long the DA's office contract is for Axon.
So do they up, 5 years new technology, still be the same rate you're
They
paying?
will upgrade as we go along, obviously, as this is a new software that, and Axon, it's my understanding, is worldwide, and is the #1 with respect to digital discovery.
Yeah.
So their intent is to, and each month, they keep on upgrading any of their softwares with respect to finding different codecs for videos that might not work.
Sure.
So it's a constant upgrade, so it's not that it's gonna be steady and this is what we're gonna be stuck with. They're gonna keep on modifying their software.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Burdo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for this proposal. I got a question for you. Are we buying you a separate edition of this software, or are you piggybacking on to one of the other procurements? Obviously, the DA has it, the sheriff has it, other law enforcement agencies have it. Is it necessary that we buy it, the same product, for a third time?
It's not necessarily that we're buying the product, I think we're buying the number of users. So these programs are designed for the fact that we all use the same system, but obviously it's restricted as to the fact that although we're using the same system, the District Attorney's Office cannot, they'll have a block to accessing what I do on my end. Same way that although they'll transfer the data into Axon for me to access, I can't see the notes that they make on their side. So we all have the capability to modify our own videos that we get and save a subset of that video for whatever we might use for trial. They would not have the ability to see it. So technically it's the same software, but I'm buying the number of users for my office, so it goes per user. So
Well,
that's
I guess it is enterprise software from the perspective that everybody is using the same software. What I'm just suggesting, and I don't know whether this is a question for Dave Riley or our purchasing department, if the DA is buying 100 users and the sheriff is buying 100 users and you're buying 40 users, the first 100 users came at a certain price. The second 100 users would have reduced that first party's price. So by buying 250 units together, enterprise software gets consistently cheaper as you increase the number of users. My question is less for you, but more from the county in terms of, are we getting the best price with 3 separate users? And I don't know the answer to that.
I can't speak to that. The only thing I can speak to is when I had reviewed the Public Defender's contract as to what they had submitted, the pricing was the same as what it is for mine, but obviously a little less based on I have less people.
So, since you called my name out, I was just gonna point out, I don't know the pricing model offhand either, but we can get it, we
Yeah,
can take a look at it, let you know.
I just, IT made a comment about making sure that they were involved in all software and hardware procurements, and it just strikes me that, the same product in 3 different places with 3 separate procurements may not be the most efficient way. Just like to know that someone will look at that. That's all.
Okay, any other questions? All right, then can I have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, so now, we'll go back to the top. All right. So, okay. Item number 2 is tabled at the request of sponsor. Item number 3 is tabled at the request of sponsor. Items number 4, tabled at the request of sponsor. Oh, okay. Okay. Items 2 through 16 are all tabled at the request of sponsor. Save ourselves some time. So, item 17, excuse me, items 1 through, so 2 through 15, 2 through 15 are tabled at the request of sponsor. So that moves us to item 16, which is a public hearing on proposed local law Q for 2024. A local law of the County of Albany, New York, creating chapter TBD of the Albany County Code regarding the creation of the Albany County Office of Assigned Counsel. I am the sponsor of this particular piece of legislation. This is Rebecca will jump in as necessary here, but this is basically a local law to sort of more normalize and I think make a more systematic procedure design. The idea is to make a more systematic and normalized procedure for the assignment of assigned counsel for indigent, for cases where there's an indigent party. Is that a fair
Yep.
description of it?
So Indigent Legal Services with New York State is essentially requiring that all counties throughout the state formalize their assigned counsel programs. We have an assigned counsel program already. This would make it an official, I believe, division, not a department, but a division of a department. And this also creates rules for, there will be a board which appoints the administrator. Currently, the executive appoints the administrator, so this would create another layer of oversight and control there. The 3 members of the board would be appointed by the executive, 2 would be appointed by the legislature, and then the chair of law would serve as an ex officio member.
Non-voting.
Non-voting, yes, so it would be 5 voting members. Then the board would nominate and choose an administrator, which would then be confirmed by the legislature. And other than that, it's just basic general rules about the running of this program, many of which are exactly the same as it currently is. It's just formalizing it and putting it into writing, which is what ILS has asked for.
So that is why we're doing this. Any questions?
Yeah, I wonder if you could describe how it will be structured, because obviously now as independent entities, they're independent entities. Don't you have some inherent conflicts when you have the public defender and the alternate public defender representing different interests, being under the same management? Isn't that the whole purpose of the setting up of those offices? And then the, I want to call it the alternate public defender. I know
Well, the
that's not
assigned
the right
counsel
name.
program is the alternate public defender.
Yeah.
When cases go to the public defender, if there are 2 or more defendants whose interests would be in opposition to each other potentially,
Yeah.
one of them goes to the, gets represented by the alternate public defender's office. If there are more than that, then assigned counsel gets involved. Assigned counsel is a pool of, or a panel of attorneys who are all outside attorneys, 18B attorneys, who are managed currently by the assigned counsel program and will continue to be managed by the assigned counsel program. It's not a conflict as long as the offices are kept separate and distinct, any more than if it's a conflict to have both an alternate public defender's and a public defender's office, as well as a DA's office. It's not a conflict as long as they're kept separate, so.
What is the efficiency by putting them all together?
Well, the county has to run them.
Excuse me?
The county has to run them.
So we do, will
They're
we?
mandated programs.
We're
by
not,
the state.
we're not going to have separate heads of these offices, are we
We
gonna?
do have separate heads of this
Well, but
office,
that-
and
that's
we'll
what-
continue to.
That's kind of where I'm going with this. Are we gonna need less lawyers? Are we gonna save money? Are
No,
we,
this is not changing anything about the program except to formalize it. This program currently exists. Tom DeBoe's
I
coming.
understand what exists, I'm just
Mhm.
trying to wonder, somebody said by doing it this way, it would be more efficient.
No,
And I'm,
Indigent Legal Services said, in order to get your money, you need to do this. It has nothing to do with efficiency, it just has to do with formalization of procedure.
so this is a state mandate that we do this?
It's not officially a mandate, but yes, it is all but a requirement,
If
yes.
you don't do it this way,
They won't cut off their money,
you won't get money.
yes.
Okay, well, I'm trying to figure out why we're,
That
if
is
nothing,
exactly what
if
we're-
nothing's changing, why are we doing it?
Well, I don't think anything is changing with respect to the actual representation of people who need representation. What is changing is we are formalizing the procedures pursuant to which people are assigned to be.
No, the procedures are actually staying the
Okay.
same. The only thing that's changing is there's now going to be a board which will officially nominate the administrator, which is currently being appointed by the executive. That's the only thing that's changing.
Now,
Nothing will
will
change
that
with regard
board
to assignments.
also be hiring counsel for the three offices?
What?
No.
Why?
No, because he's asking if the board, I think it's your question,
The-
Mr. Bergdorf, if the board is in charge of assigning counsel, and that's not what would actually happen.
No.
Because the board will hire the administrator.
Yes, and the three offices continue to remain separate and distinct as they always have.
So Judge Herrick will continue to hire public defenders?
Yes, this has absolutely nothing to do with the public defender's office or the alternate public defender's office, except insofar as assigned counsel only comes into play when those
Right.
offices are conflicted out. Nothing changes.
Or it does come into.
I know so little about this, I'm
Right.
just trying to
Yeah,
figure out.
no, it's fine, it's fine, listen, it's not the most readily understandable thing in the world. It also, in addition to criminal matters, assigned counsel comes into play for certain non-criminal matters where there is a statutory or constitutional right to counsel.
Essentially only family court. It's family court and criminal court.
Right, but those are non-criminal, I just
Yeah,
want to make
not-
clear, the scope of it is not, there is some non-criminal elements to it as well, family court matters.
So, but right now, when the county goes into family court, we go in with attorneys, at least from the, I don't know, prosecution is the right word in family court, but don't those attorneys come from the county attorney's office?
Yes, the prosecution and family court comes from
Prosecution,
the.
I didn't know if that was the right word in family.
Assigned counsel is currently already in the family court program, so literally nothing is changing with regard to the assignment of counsel
Okay,
having to do with this program.
so other counties have done this is common?
ILS is essentially requiring it for every county in the state.
The statute that we would be enacting here, I think, is a sort of model statute that's been enacted in other counties as well.
So you don't foresee any fiscal changes, having to add staff, having to,
There should be, the
no
only,
organizational changes
It's
other than,
exactly the same as it currently is.
other than the appointment of an administrator, which would obviously be.
We have an
yeah, the
administrator.
administrator exists now. The only new positions would be of this board, and those are
Volunteer.
volunteer positions. So it shouldn't have any impact fiscally.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I'll move it.
Okay, second.
Sure.
I guess, okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, then 17 through 21 are tabled at the request of sponsor. Okay, so, okay, so there's an item 25, which is not on my copy.
Yes, it is on Granicus. It is the PAWS law, a local law of the County of Albany, New York, amending Chapter 288 of the Albany County Code regarding the welfare and safety of pets and vehicles. This is the local law itself. There were no speakers at the public hearing.
Okay, so this is to move out we had the public hearing, nobody spoke on it. This is the law that, the pause law, I guess it will prevent people from driving with their animals in their lap while they're driving, which is, we've been told, is an actual safety concern that police officers and the county sheriff are encountering. So, does anybody have anything to say about this? We don't need the sponsor here.
No, we have a grant, there's two grant sponsors here.
Oh, okay.
Three grant sponsors here.
You got any of you guys want to say anything more about this?
I think it's great. It's a motion.
Second.
I'd
Okay.
already did this.
No, I just didn't know. if
Is
anybody
there,
else
is there
wanted
any
to
of us
say
that have not been guilty of distracted driving?
Well,
For the definition?
I've never driven with a dog in my lap.
Well, no, there's just the paragraph above. Just interesting.
Correct, you're all guilty of distracted
We're
driving.
all guilty of that,
All,
It's not with the Marines.
with or without the dog.
Okay, so, all in favor of?
Aye.
moving this out? Aye. Opposed? Okay, and that's the end of our agenda. So can I have a motion to adjourn? Second. Spotsky. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody.
What do you think?
One more tonight?
I hope so.
One at a time.
Yes.